Hell nah, I ain't sleep today, but I'ma be okay. Miss my family on the east, but fuck it, I can't.
What is up, YouTube? Zukim1 here, and I am back with a brand new YouTube video. Today we are talking about suicide and mental health. So I really wanted to talk about this video because I feel that it's very important to emphasize the importance of mental health and talk about understanding your personal mental health and understanding where you are in life in terms of how do you feel and things that are going on with your life, and knowing that you're not alone in these types of situations, and that it's best to try to seek out that help that you need to be able to make sure that you never get to that place where you feel like there are no other options. So I'm going to share my story with you all and talk about some of the things that I did that helped me through those types of situations. So a couple years ago, like it was not that long ago, I want to say it was about 6 years ago now, I was in a really dark place. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have an education. At this time in my life, I didn't even finish high school. So I didn't finish high school. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. I felt worthless to the world, and I felt like I was just a burden to everyone and everything. And every single day was a struggle to get out of bed. I remember waking up and just thinking to myself, why am I even here? Why am I wasting time? Why am I wasting energy? Why am I wasting effort into putting forth anything into life when I'm not getting anything out of it? And slowly it started, like my mental health just slowly started to deteriorate every single day, till I was thinking of different ways to kill myself every single day, and just trying to figure out the least painful way to go, right? Whether what would happen if I was just drown myself? What would happen if I jumped from a 3-story tall building or something like that? Like it was getting worse and worse every single day. I can honestly say the turning point for me in that particular situation, what helped me get back to a healthier mental state, was I had met a young lady. Her name was Emily. If you've seen any of my other videos before, or been in my Q&A session, you probably know who she is. But for those who have not seen any of that material yet, or new to the channel, Emily was a very important person to me, and the reason being is because she came in my life when I was at my darkest, and it felt as if I didn't have anybody there for me. And she showed me that no matter how dark life gets, there's always a way out. There should never be a point in your life where you just give up on every single thing, because you never just know how much life has to offer until you've lived it out and seen for yourself. And I could definitely say, going through that, like understanding that there's so much more to look forward to in life, that it really helped me get to a more stable, healthier mental state to be able to, live on my own and be able to live in a safer space with myself. Because me and Emily took time away from each other, mainly because of me. I felt as if I wasn't ready for that type of relationship yet, only because I needed to get my life together. She was everything that I wanted and everything that I needed, and I could not commit to her only because my life was not where I wanted it to be. I wasn't in school still. I didn't have a job, and I didn't have any money. And I didn't want her to take care of me. I didn't want to be a nuisance to her. So I decided to try to better my life, better myself, and better my mental health, right? And I felt as the easiest way for me to do all that was for me to be able to take time for myself and focus on getting my life together. I was scared because I was afraid that I might fail, and I was afraid that I would not be successful. But these are risks that you have to take for yourself sometimes, and luckily for me, I was pretty fortunate to be able to get back into school, find a job, and be able to do both of those, right? And I worked my ass off. I worked so hard. I worked as hard as humanly possible to try to finish everything within a timely manner so I can get back to her, and now I can run back to my happiness. And she didn't feel that way about me anymore. She felt as if I abandoned her and if I left her behind, and that I didn't want to be in a relationship with her anymore. And that's rough, right? Like especially when this was the person that kept you from going to that dark place. But you have to understand that you can't rely on other people to give you your happiness. You have to find happiness in yourself. And fortunately, at this point in time, I was in a more stable place of mind. So I was able to deal with that trauma of losing her and, be able to work my way through that. So fast forward a little bit. This year, actually, at the beginning of this year, I was in that dark place again, and it was getting really rough. And this happens to a lot of people too. I was a very happy individual. I had a very high-paying job, and I was very happy with the rate of pay, with the hours, the environment, the people I was working with. Everything was just happy. I loved everything about my job. And yeah, I gave them all my availability, and yeah, I gave them all my time. Yeah, I gave them all my energy, but I was happy. And at the beginning of this year, in January, they let me go. And that was the first time in my life I had ever been fired. But it was also the first, not fired, they let me go. It's a difference. I'll explain the difference in another video, but just know that if somebody let you go, it wasn't because of them. It was because they just didn't have the money to keep you anymore. And they just need to let you go, type of thing. Whereas if they fired you, you messed up. You did something wrong, and they have to fire you as punishment for doing something wrong. So there's a difference. But regardless of the issue, I wasn't working for the company that I loved and that I had developed a passion for, that I would talk about non-stop to my friends and family members and stuff like that. I loved this position with all of my heart. And when I lost it, it took a second for me to really realize the impact of losing that position. I didn't cry. I didn't get upset. I didn't get mad. It didn't happen right away. A couple weeks went by. I'm still in a state of denial. I'm not ready to face that trauma yet, right? I'm not ready to face that yet. And then the month of February, it hit me. I was like, wow. I don't have a job. I don't have any money. And I've worked so hard. See, this is the part that connects with a lot of people, and why so many people tend to go to that dark place after this stuff happens to them. So for me particularly, I had worked my ass off to get to a place where I was very happy and I was very comfortable in my life, and I had made a lot of progress in my life. Right, I was just a normal kid that came from like a low income neighborhood who didn't have any credentials to be where I was or to do the things that I do. Right? I didn't have these things. I didn't have the education. I didn't have the background. I didn't have none of this stuff. I didn't let none of that stop me. Right? I worked. I showed everybody that I may not have it, but I promise you I worked 20 times harder than anybody in here that does have those qualifications. I swear to you now. And so I would always prove myself all the time, and people would be so thoroughly impressed with my work ethic and with the amount of energy I contribute to these types of things and how much personality I can bring. And to see that I lost that, it was just so it crushed me, and I didn't know what to do. I was lost, and I didn't have somebody I could just crutch on to this time, so it was just rough. And I reached out to help. I reached out to my friends, because I'm not really close with my family. So I reached out to my friends and I asked them, like, can you help me? I'm lost and I don't know what to do. I'm hurting. Please help me. And they came to my aid. They helped me. They talked to me. They listened. They didn't just say, oh, work through it. They didn't just say, oh, forget about it, or hey, get over it. They listened. They listened to what I had to say, and it really helped me get through that point in my life. And I found my position at the university. They let me go, but it wasn't as hurtful, because I knew that if I was able to bounce back off my feet the first time, I could bounce back off on my feet again. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I got my position at MB Financial, and that's where I'm at right now, right? So I currently work at MB Financial, and I'm pretty happy with that environment. It's not exactly the work that I was doing at IPSoft. I really do miss that work there. I really miss the environment and the people that I worked with, but all in all, I really do enjoy this position now. It's nice. So I'm happy with that. And I just want to get one more thing before I go to my closing thoughts and then close out the video. So when I was younger, when I was really young, and this is a reference in another video, if you guys haven't seen it yet, it is the Storytime with Zuki, where I talked about my father. I lost my father at a very young age, and for some people that's very, very difficult to be able to process. Fortunately, it happened at me at a young age where you can move past it, but some people, they take it a lot more harder than others, and that puts them in a dark place. And the reason why I bring that particular event up is because I want to help people understand that you're not alone. These types of stories that you're hearing from me, there are thousands, if not millions, of other individuals who are dealing with these same type of issues, who are dealing with these same type of depression, who are dealing with the same level of disappointment in their life. And you should not be at a point where you just say that there's no reason for you to be here anymore. One of my heroes, one of my role models, somebody that I looked up to, Chester Billington, the lead singer for the Linkin Park, he killed himself, right? And that was a really impactful death for me, because in my eyes, I felt that he was happy, right? He was married, he had a kid, he had friends, he'd been working with the same individuals for 20 plus years. So to see a man at the peak of his happiness, ideally at the peak of his happiness, right? And not understand that his mental health was in a completely different state. So ideally, he had everything that he could possibly want: a house, a wife, a kid, a career, right? But on the other side of his mind, he was plagued with thoughts that he couldn't get rid of. He was plagued with problems that he couldn't face. And that type of stuff just really, really doesn't help you at all. And you have to understand that you cannot sit on those types of thoughts. You cannot sit in those types of things. There are people who are here that will help you, that will help you understand why you feel the way you feel, or help you understand why there are other ways for you to get out. You don't have to leave this world. You don't have to leave the people who love you behind. You're not alone, and there's never a reason for you to ever feel like you're alone. So whether you're down and out on your luck, no school, no work, no job, or you just lost a very important position to you, or you've lost a family member or a loved one, or you're at the peak of your career and you're just not happy, right? There's someone who understands that, and there's someone who can help you get to a better place. Never, ever feel like there's no way out. And with that, I feel that it's time for me to close out the video. Please, guys, if you ever get to that place where you don't feel that you can't go on anymore, please do me a favor. Call the suicide prevention hotline. I left a link to their number below in the description of this video. So if you ever get to a place where you feel as if you need to do something like that, please do not feel like you need to be alone. And if you're someone who is a subscriber of me, call me personally. I will give you guys my personal phone number just so you can contact me if you ever feel that you need to be able to work your way through those situations. I would rather give away the safety and security of my own privacy to make sure that someone is safe and sound. Thank you.